gone through the 10x growth workshop that is already there online. If you haven't, I strongly recommend you to go through the 10x growth transformational workshop. Now this course is all about how do you use the power of networking, the power of connecting, right, in actually achieving 10x growth. That is basically leveraging network to achieve your 10x growth. So what are you waiting for? Are you excited to begin? Yes. If so, type yes, I am excited, and let us start. So let me make this screen smaller to you. Yeah, I hope now it is clearer. Yeah, let's move on. Let's understand the power of networking in achieving 10x growth. So, as part of today's session, we will understand these three in detail. What is networking and its importance, and of course the power of networking? What are the general hurdles people face in networking, and what are the tools and techniques one can use to overcome these hurdles and leverage the power of networking? Let's move on. So, what is networking? Networking is the action or process of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts or business, right? This is the generic definition which is taken from different sources. It is the action or process of interacting with others to exchange the information and develop professional or social contacts or business. Okay. Now, why is networking important? Because if you look at the same definition once again, I want you to understand these four highlighted words. What are they? Process of interaction, exchange of information, develop professional, social or business contacts. Now, if you are a student who is watching this, you will need networking to understand what is your career option, to understand and to get possible, right, openings that are available in the industry, right? The networking is very important. If you are a professional, you will need networking to understand if at all you want to upgrade your job, you want to look at a different job, then definitely people have to understand. I mean, you need to have them in their networks to understand that yes, you are good at so and so skills, and if at all there is any relevant opening, you might be recommended. And especially even more so for businesses, because basically businesses work on contacts, right? And it is in this context, these four, right, form the fundamentals of growth, right? Whatsoever stage you are, your growth will always be leveraged by the network, and hence networking is important, a very, very key component in achieving 10x growth. Let's move on. Well, some of you might think, is it really important? Well, I don't need it. But yeah, I know networking is important, but I'm an introvert. Can I really leverage something? Some of you might say, no, I'm not comfortable in socializing. I kind of like it to stay myself and do things. I'm happy if left alone would be some other thoughts. And of course, I can make it without anyone's help, right? So I'm sure those who are watching this particular class or course right now will definitely fall into one of these 5 categories, right? Now the workshop is whatsoever the category that you're falling into. The workshop will basically help you to overcome whatsoever the hurdles and then leverage the power of networking in achieving your 10x growth. Let's continue. Now, I'm sure most of you know this Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Let me make this smaller so that you will have the complete visibility of the, yeah, this is better, yeah. So I'm sure you know the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It all begins from the physiological needs, which is all about our food, shelter, clothing, etc. And then goes to our security needs, which is all about our personal security, right? The constant flow of income, health, property, etc. And then the feeling of belongingness, the feeling of belongingness to a community, the feeling of love, right? The sense of connection. Then the next one, if you see, it is all about esteem, right? How am I perceived by others? How am I perceived by myself? What is the respect and recognition and influence and authority that I carry in the world, in the outside world, right? And finally comes the self-actualization, that is to desire to become right, the most one can be, right? Now, if you look at this Maslow's hierarchy of needs, networking or the longingness to connect, the longingness to belong, right, starts as early as, right, in the third phase itself, right? When you look at from safety till esteem, right? If you look at employment, or if you look at friendship, if you look at recognition, all these three forms the networking. What does this mean? This means that networking is not a choice that you might have to say that, hey, I don't need it, I'm an introvert, etc. It is not a choice, but it is it is a mandate. Yeah, let's move on. If you are not convinced, even at this point of time, that networking is no longer a choice but a need, I'm sure in the coming slide you will definitely but agree with me. Right? Let's move on. Yeah, how many of you know who this guy is? I'm sure this is one of the favorite movies of many of us. This was released during my engineering, and I was really thrilled by this movie, right? Now, what is exactly, if at all you know the context of Avatar, the whole movie is all about networking, right? The ability for human beings to connect with the nature, the ability for the human beings to connect with the trees, with the animals, etc. Basically, that forms the base of Avatar, right? Even through the entire story, I think this was the moment when Jack Sully doesn't know what to do. Then he connects right himself with the whole memory or the neurons or neural network. That is what is mentioned in the movie, right? That captures the whole of the tribe. So he connects with that, and that is when he gets the solution. Okay. Now it's time for us to learn from Avatar. Yeah, don't you think so? Yeah. If Jack Sully could connect with nature, I'm sure you and I and all of us can connect with other human beings or other professionals. Yeah. Do you agree with me? Yeah. If so, type it down that yes, you agree. Right. Some of you who might be thinking that yes, I can do all by myself. No, I'm an introvert. I'm really not good at socializing. I really cannot connect with people. Please, I think this is the time to shut all of them, because it is very, very clear. If Jack Sully can connect with nature, I'm sure we can easily connect with other human beings or professionals, right? Yeah. Let's move on. Now, what are all these companies? Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, and LinkedIn. All these bigger companies right now, right? And only the list will only increase. Of course, there is TikTok and all other things which I did not include at this point of time. But what I'm trying to say is, the topmost companies in the world right now are built on one single aspect called networking. Yeah, don't you believe? You know, of course, you know this for sure, right? Now, let us see how big they are. Look at the monthly active users, right? For Facebook, 2.23 billion people. YouTube, 1.9 billion. WhatsApp, 1.5 billion, and Instagram, 1 billion. Look at their market cap. Facebook is 650 billion US dollars. YouTube is almost 1000 billion US dollars. LinkedIn / Microsoft is approximately 1.3 trillion US dollars. Right? Look at them. Our Indian economy at this point of time is 2.9 trillion dollars. Correct? And our Indian economy is equivalent to the market cap of the companies such as Facebook, Google, and Microsoft put together. See, 1.3 plus roughly 1, 2 plus 6 point, right? 1.3 plus 1, 2.3 plus 6.5, almost close to 2.9 trillion dollars. That's the power of these companies, and that's the power of networking that I'm talking about here. All these companies, the base core and the operations is based on the networking and the connection between people. Now, again, look at this, right? The world population at this point of time is roughly 7.5 billion people, right? Now, you cover all of them, almost 1/3 or even more than 1/3 of the world's population is on these, right, platforms. Again, I'm not talking about social media, I'm not talking about influential media, I'm not talking about any of these things. I've brought these statistics to kind of disturb you, to shake you up, and then say that, hey, you know what? This is the reality, this is the fact. Now it is up to you whether you want to realize this, whether you realize this and leverage this towards your 10x growth, or you just want to be where you are, right? You're able to understand what I'm trying to communicate, right? So all this I'm trying to only bring it to you to prove again and again, and to communicate that one single point, that networking is no longer a choice. Networking is a mandatory thing. In fact, whether you like it or not, you and I are already part of, I'm sure all of us are there on Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, LinkedIn and YouTube, right? So we are anyway part of the networking. So when we are anyway part of the networking, why not leverage it to the best and the fullest potential? Yeah, let's move on. So what are the power and benefits of networking? Right? It is this. Networking will lead to solution both at personal level and at an organizational level. It might result in collaborations. It will of course bring innovations. And yes, it does all of them. Yeah. Now I will give you examples from my own experience of how how I was able to leverage networking at different points of my career, right? So that I was able to achieve 10x growth. Let's move on. Okay. So I was working with Gati as their electric vehicle business head and the group corporate strategy head. Now, Gati was the first company almost 2 years ago in the year 2018 when IKEA, you know, the Swedish furniture company is into India. It has its operation started from Hyderabad, and IKEA is part of EV100 campaign, which means that by 2030 all their mobility services are supposed to be through electric vehicles. Now Gati being the last mile delivery partner for IKEA, there is an obligation for Gati to follow suit. That means we will have to move our goods and goods of IKEA through electric vehicles. Well, we started at that point of time almost 2 years ago. There were no many companies who are preparing or manufacturing electric vehicles. So whatsoever were available in the market, we just brought in and we started. Now that particular act was marketed so well that the whole network of automotive OEMs, the whole network of electric vehicle manufacturers came to know about this particular thing. So that one small initiative, which started with approximately 4 vehicles, has now given a way to forming a new company altogether called Avan. Now it just didn't stop there. At the time at IKEA, we deployed electric vehicles which are 3-wheelers. And you know, most of the IKEA goods are voluminous in nature, longer, bulkier. So we wanted right products to be either 407 Tata, the bigger ones, or Tata Ace. And you know what? Then there is another company called eTrio with whom Avan collaborated. Understand here, Avan collaborated, and we developed the first retrofitted Tata Electric Ace in India. Look at this. Look at the power of networking. What it has led, and we are able to boast ourselves that we are the pioneers. We are the first people in launching a 4-wheeler electric Ace retrofitted one. Yeah, this is just one example. Let's move on. While I was with Mahindra & Mahindra, prior to taking Gati's assignment, I was working with Mahindra & Mahindra in Mumbai. And as part of this Mahindra & Mahindra, I was working on their internal startup, right, called carworks.com, which is an online aggregator for car service and spares industry. Now, online aggregator for car service and spares industry. The basic USP of this particular organization is that all the, it kind of becomes the TripAdvisor, right, Zomato, for the automotive industry. You might ask how. Yeah, here it is, right? All the workshops within Mumbai, right? Authorized workshops, semi-authorized workshops, and independent garages are all onboarded on our platform called carworks.com. The car owners, right, without even visiting to the workshop, can kind of get a virtual tour of that workshop, look at the ratings and reviews of the workshop, and book the service of the car at the click of a button. Then the person from the workshop comes, picks up, and then does the work, and then the payment also happens through carworks.com. It was a very innovative idea. In fact, this is one of the pet projects of Mr. Anand Mahindra. He used to monitor this very closely with us. Now, understand this. While this is one of the core offerings, the other offering that we were working at that point of time was that can this carworks.com become the Google or Amazon's of automotive industry? Let me tell you how. Suppose you have a car and your car has come towards a periodic maintenance service, right? That means you'll have to change your oil filter, fuel filter, air filter, right? Engine oil and all these things, right? What do? You go to the workshop, you trust that the workshop guy is putting all the right parts, all genuine parts, using the quality products, and that's what you go by the assumptions, right? What if you are a given choice that you can basically pick whatever you want? I want say Shell oil, right? I want this particular Purelator oil filter. I want horn of Bosch, right? Imagine you are able to hand pick those components that you want, club them under a basket, and be able to order them. Then you get all those parts to your car, and then all you need to do is give these components to the workshop and only pay for the service charge. That's because he's changing it. Or if you're good, like do it yourself kind of a guys, like in the West, you yourself can do it, right? Isn't it an innovative idea? Yeah. But then for this idea to be successful, we need to have all the component details of all the cars and the models, correct? Now the biggest challenge was, of course, Mahindra's cars and all those things we were able to get because we are from the same parent company. Now how do I get the spare part list from our competitors, right? Competitors, who are the competitors? The competitors are definitely, right, Maruti, Bosch, then Honda, right? How do we get these? Again, this is where the power of networking is. Earlier to Mahindra, I was working with Bosch. I worked there for about 5 years. So I was able to make a very smooth entry into Bosch because most of them were my colleagues. And when I shared this great idea with them, they were thrilled. And then they said, yes, I think this is a good thing to come. Now, once Bosch was there, then I was able to, with the leveraging the network and the connections that I had, I was able to go to Maruti, Honda, Hyundai, etc. At first, they were perplexed. At first, they were hesitant that a competitor from Mahindra is asking for the part list, how comfortable, how relevant it is, how appropriate it is to reveal, etc. But then when I shared them the right picture, that this carworks.com will remain as a neutral platform, it will take the brands much closer to the customers, it will help the brands in curbing right, the gray market of duplicate parts that are available. At that time, I mean, even now, 30% of automotive market is still flooded by the gray market, right? So when I took the bigger concept to them, they were all able to understand. They were all convinced and they onboarded. So we were able to onboard all the OES suppliers, auto suppliers like Bosch, Purelator, Minda, right? Everybody, etc. And then we were also able to onboard all the competitors and other OEMs in the auto sector. You are able to understand, right? You are able to understand what I'm trying to communicate here. What I'm trying to communicate here is such a growth with carworks.com, where even the competitors were also able to collaborate, was possible because of networking, correct? And such an innovative ideas of Avan being the first company to deploy four-wheeler electric retrofitted ACE vehicles in the market along with E-Trio, right? Isn't it an innovation? Now all this is, do you think would have happened just like that? No. the core of all this, why this has all come to a happening, is all because of networking. And those are the powers, that's the power and benefit of networking. Let's move on. Right now, you might always, now let me talk about an examples how these will lead to innovation. Now you all know Swiggy, right? So if you're in Hyderabad, you get to taste Hyderabadi biryani wherever you are in Hyderabad. If you are in Kolkata, you get to taste sandesh, right? All those kind of sweets, prawns, etc. Fish within Kolkata. And if you are in, say, for example, in Tanjore, down south, then you have access to the best and original artistic works of paintings, etc. Right? Then we thought, yeah, Swiggy is localized. Amazon's kind of give you the options, but there is no authenticity or ethnicity in this. Why can't I become a national level Swiggy where somebody in Calcutta can still order Hyderabadi biryani? I get this biryani packed in Hyderabad from, say, Paradise or whatsoever, connected to the next immediate flight that is available to Calcutta, and from Calcutta my team there captures it again and then delivers to the customer. Isn't it a brilliant idea? Now on Amazon I might order any of the paintings, but if I want Tanjore paintings, right, Avan Avishkar will position this order on that particular person who is producing these paintings in Amazon, in Tanjore, and those are picked up and delivered to your house. Maybe it is in Kashmir. Not just that, Simla apples can be served to somebody in Maharashtra, and Ratnagiri mangoes of Maharashtra can be served to somebody who is in Jharkhand or Chhattisgarh, right? I mean, unifying India and erasing boundaries. Now that was an innovative model. Again, the whole crux or the pillar of that was networking. And we ran, in fact, during the pandemic, during the COVID times, we were able to do a business of roughly for about a month's time of 2 lakhs, right? Only selling Ratnagiri mangoes across the country. Ratnagiri Alfonso mangoes. Do you believe that? Right. That's networking leads to innovation. And of course, now you will, right now we are operating in stealth mode. Now, if at all you are traveling by flight, right, you tend to pay more than 500-400 rupees for every additional kg of luggage that you carry along with. But then we are working with the India's biggest portal called Make My Trip, where when you are booking the tickets, like add insurance, add meal, you will also get add a one excess baggage, where the complete services would be given to you at almost 1/3 or 1/4 of the cost. Yeah, you're able to understand, right? Now, this is all possible because we were able to connect with Make My Trip. We were able to connect with right, the airlines, the flyers. We were able to connect and then bring out innovative solutions. Let's move on. Okay, I'm sure by this time you have completely understood what is networking, the power and importance of networking, and I'm sure you're more than convinced now that you need to network to achieve 10x growth in your life. Yes? If so, mention that in the comment that yes, I need to leverage the power of networking to achieve 10x growth in my life. Yeah. Okay, you might say, hey, no, but then I have certain hurdles. I'm an introvert. I'm really not comfortable. I don't get that initiative to just go and talk. Don't worry. That's where I'm here, right? To help you overcome all those restrictions or inhibitions that you have in mind, and also give you practical tools and techniques which can be very easily understood and remembered so that you can overcome all these hurdles. Yeah. Shall we move on? Yes, let's move on. Okay. Now I'm sure if I were to put all your hurdles into 4 different major problems, I'm sure those would be these: stranger anxiety, not able to connect with somebody who is a strange guy for the first time, don't know where to begin, how to begin. Then the fear of being judged. Oh, what will they think? Right? What will they think? I think the fear of being judged is the biggest enemy of networking, because it will never let you be who you are. And then the networking will only be successful when you present yourself as who you are. The other person accepts and appreciates you as a person who you are. And when that genuineness comes into picture, networking flourishes, right? But because of fear of being judged, what happens? You project to be somebody else who actually you are not, and then the other person gets, right, confused signals of whether you are this, you are B or C, and then the very act that you have started to ensure that you will avoid yourself to be judged. By doing this, you will kind of you will put yourself into a situation where the other people can't but just judge you, right? Then some of you might think, hey, this is a skill and I do not have it. My friends, let me tell you, if there is a skill, then you can always acquire it, right? Yeah. Then some of you say, hey, I'm all good, but I cannot initiate. I have a starting problem. If somebody initiates, then I can, of course, right, do wonders, right? I'm sure that is what some of you must be thinking. But let me tell you, we will have answers to all of these hurdles, right? Do you find or do you identify with any of these hurdles? Then mention in the comments, which in the notes, which hurdle you are able to identify with. Do you have stranger anxiety? Do you have fear of being judged? Or you think this is a skill that you do not have? Or you have a starting problem? Mention it down there. Now is the interesting time. The interesting time is to understand what are the tools and techniques that can be used, that can be applied to overcome all those hurdles and achieve 10x growth in life. Yeah, let's move on. Now, I already told you, right? I will give you frameworks which are very easy to understand, which are very easy to remember. And the framework I'm giving right now is DREAM. All of you said DREAM? Yeah. It's a 5-step framework. If only you follow it rightly, you will become the master of networking and you will leverage the power of networking in achieving 10x growth. Yeah. Say along with me, DREAM, DREAM. Yeah. Now let's begin with the first one. What does this DREAM acronym stand for? This is what they stand for. D is all about discover. Your positioning as a person who can be discoverable and your ability to discover opportunities. Right? We will take all these things in detail as we go one by one. R stands for reach out. You should be accessible, that somebody can easily reach out to you, and at the same time, how you can reach out to somebody. E means excelling and engaging, right? E is excelling and engaging. 4 is being accessible and at the same time being ambitious. Okay. 5th one, M stands for maintaining the relations but not manipulating the relations. Understand these 5. Dream, reach out, excel and engage, ambition and being accessible, maintaining the relation and not manipulating the relations. Yeah, let's move on. What does each signify? And we go through the details of each one of these. Okay. Now, what is discover? Discover basically is, right? I'm sure this is what our teacher told us, right? While teaching us traffic rules in our primary schools, they said, whenever you are on the road, you should be able to see and you should be able to be seen by the vehicles, right? So, what is the technique here? Look out, right? If at all you have the starting problem, if at all you have so whatsoever, so that problem, this problem or whatsoever, look out for similar persons, groups, networks, meets, webinars, etc. that are happening. Watch out for and participate and engage, right? See, suppose I'm into business development, I'm into operations, I take care of the complete right, as the chief operating officer of One India, I'm responsible for the complete P&L of the business. And of course, since my studies and my graduation and masters is into automobile, I also understand certain things about automotive right, engineering, and that's it. Now imagine if I were to network with somebody who is developing the latest software for artificial intelligence, or who is developing a latest platform for machine learning. it would be a force fit for me to begin with, right? Right? But then if it is a community of electric mobility, if it is a community of entrepreneurs, if it is a community of people who are aspiring to grow by 10x, that's for me, right? Similarly, identify what's your core, identify who you are, identify your realm of work, identify your areas of interest. And the first thing is, in that community, in that particular realm and sphere of influence, look out for similar persons, groups, networks, meets, webinars, participate and engage. Number one. This is see and be seen. Number two, publish and participate in posts, articles, give valuable content and inputs, share your opinions, engage into discussions on platforms such as, right, LinkedIn or even Facebook or Instagram or other things. Here, what I'm talking here is all in the perspective of education, in the perspective of career / profession, in the perspective of the business. I'm not talking in perspective of political influence. I'm not talking about regional differences. I'm not talking about any of those discussions, right? It is up to you. I leave it to your choice, but my funda is to give you 10x growth, right? And 10x growth can only come when your efforts and everything are channelized in the right direction and focused, right? So participate in those forums, right? You might think that, hey, what value do I add? What can I have? Can I add? I'm too small. It doesn't really matter. Right? If you are into certain things, you definitely have certain opinion. You definitely have certain thoughts about right, your content or your stream. Voice them out. Participate. Publish articles. Write down posts. Right? Let people know that you are interested into this. That is how you will be seen. Right. In fact, I would recommend that, right, if you really want to be discovered as a person who is known for this. See, this is especially true for entrepreneurs, right? Especially people who are either from startups or who are running your own firms, right? From micro, small, medium enterprises, or the person who are really looking for a job change or a kind of career progression, right? This is very important. The network around you should be able to establish you, to be able to recognize you as an authority in the field that you are working in. Doesn't really matter whether you're 2 years experience or 3 years experience or 10 years experience. There are two things. If you're really seasoned and you're adding value, then you are considered as an authority or an influencer. If you are at the beginning and you're seeking information, then you are considered as enthusiastic, right? So if you are somewhere in between, you continue to seek value, you continue to give your inputs, right? That is where you are somewhere in between. That means in whatsoever sphere and in whatsoever position you are in your either career or in your company, or if you're running your own organization, then it is very important, right, for people to know that yes, your organization is known for this and hence you get business in that context. You're able to understand, right? So whatsoever the case it is, you need to engage. You need to be seen as a person who is relevant to that particular industry, who is relevant to that particular subject that you are involved into. What will this result in? This will result in establishing your identity. This will result in establishing your brand in your profession, in your areas of expertise, right? In your core operations of your enterprise, right? So begin with that first. Say for example, my own example, right? When I joined Gati in 2018, Gati is a logistics firm. Gati has nothing to do with electric mobility as an ecosystem. If at all there are something that is to be done with electric mobility, it should be automobile companies, right? But let me tell you, because of the constant interaction and constant authority and influence that we were able to build in the network, in LinkedIn or in the community around, Gati is the only logistics player who was part of the policy making at the center, the policy making at Delhi, the policy making at Telangana, right? You're able to understand, right? We gave our inputs from the logistics perspective on electric mobility innovation. I mean, you look at Telangana state government policy or Delhi's government policy, or we are even now closely working with Rocky Mountain Institute. You will have inputs from Gati, right? So that is how you will be able to establish your brand, your identity. Yeah, let's move on. Second one is reach out. Okay, why reach out? I'm sure most of you know this phrase, right? A crying baby gets milk. There needs to be a way of communication. There needs to be a way of right? Whether it is language or gestures or whatsoever, there needs to be way to communicate that you are in need of something. Only then you will get attention, right? So this is the principle you need to apply. Yes, this is the principle you need to understand, that only crying baby gets milk. When you are stuck with a problem, don't just get stuck there. Leverage the power of networking to look out for experts, to reach out for help, to understand how a solution for the problem can be built. Let me tell you an example here. While I was working with Bosch, I was working on a project called Electronic Hitch Control System, EHR. Sorry, most of my examples would be engineering examples, but I will try to make them into layman's language as much as possible, because by profession I'm an engineer, so I can only share from my experience, right? Now, what is this technology? This is basically automation of the complete tilling of the agriculture, of the lands. That means your plows that gets dug into the soil, and then you kind of till the soil, right? Until at that point of time, it was all happening either completely manual or semi-automatic. You have levers. With the levers, you kind of put the plows inside the soil, and then you run. If you get stuck somewhere, and then you will change the lever, and again the plow gets up from the field, and again you put it down, and then you move, right? This is definitely a laborious job. Now, as part of this, one component is called a solenoid valve. That is, now how it is automated using a hydraulic valve. The whole such operations are simplified to the sophistication of a TV tuner, right, or an FM tuner. You adjust the length, you adjust the force, you adjust the depth of it, just like a TV channel or TV tuner, and accordingly it would happen. How does it happen? Because once you adjust these things, this movement is changed as a potential difference, right, in the solenoids, and accordingly the valve is opened or closed, right, releasing the hydraulic fluid or sucking the hydraulic fluid, right? You are able to understand. That is how the whole mechanism is. Now, these solenoids of the valve needs to follow certain patterns when the electricity is passed through them through certain patterns, right? I'm sure you know that if this is what your expectation is, this is what the results is, this delta is called error, and you will have to minimize the error. So these solenoids, there is a huge delta altogether. Now, this is a German technology. We are trying to localize that. So we were developing that with a company called Electromax Auto Limited, that is in Chennai. I was working with Bosch Bangalore, and this there is a delta between the performance and the expectation, between the expectation and the performance, which was not being filled up. And the best of the experts, even in that organization, could not really do anything. And finally, we have a substandard product in the prototype. Then the MD of the company, Bosch Rexroth, and the technical head of the company at the time, Mr. Rao, right? He suggested, that time I was into a techno manager. I was the product manager in Bosch for the complete project. So in one of the reviews, he asked and suggested, why can't I go and try to look at the problem? Basically, I'm an engineer, so I'm supposed to, right, lead the project and then clear those roadblocks. So I flew down to Chennai. I spent 2-3 days with the vendor who is developing it, and I was clueless too. I really did not understand what's happening. We looked at the build of it, we looked at the prototype of it, we looked at the manufacturing process. Everything is as our German colleagues advised us, but then still we are not getting the right results. That was when I remembered that there was a professor at IIT Madras in Chennai who was an expert in metallurgy, materials and metallurgy. His name is Murthy, and he is right now the IIT Hyderabad Dean. IIT Hyderabad Dean. In fact, I happened to meet him in the beginning of this year when there was a small get-together launched by the T-Hub and the Ministry of Mr. KTR. That was where I was able to meet my professor, and then we were able to exchange a lot of news. So then I went to the campus, I took his appointment, and I explained him this particular problem. Then he investigated all of it, and he suggested that in the composition of the sheets that we are using to make the solenoid, the outer wall. He changed the recommendation. He recommended certain change in the composition, and we made those changes, and then we were able to get the exact results. Right? If we were stuck there, we would never get solution. Right? So we need to reach out for help for experts. Right? I was able to reach out for him, and that really helped our project to move forward. Right? Engage with people, discuss with people, share the problem. Just because you are sharing a problem doesn't really put you down, or just because you are seeking a solution from somebody doesn't really mean that he's too high. Maybe he's expert in that particular, but then you might be expert in your own things, right? Nothing to feel egoistic about it, nothing to feel superior or inferior about it. It is all about people who are trying to help each other and solve each other's problems, right? Engage, discuss, and share the problem. Sometimes, you know what, this is what it used to happen to me. Many a times when I thought that, hey, this is a problem that I'm facing, and whenever I was discussing with the experts in that particular field, most of the times when I was articulating the problem itself, I was able to get the solution. Did you also experience such kind of things before? That you know that this is a problem, but when you are kind of sharing that problem, when you are articulating that problem, you kind of find the solution by yourself, right? So, see, and definitely sharing, reaching out will give a very, very good relief. If at all you kind of contain all to yourself and you kind of build things up, it only adds up pressure, nothing else. And right, sharing out and reaching out will definitely give good relief. And of course, a different perspective always helps, right? There is one saying that in the multitude of counseling, there is safety. Listen again. In the multitude of counseling, there is safety. If you look at olden days, the kings, the wise kings used to be surrounded by wise men. And before the king goes for a battle, he would consult with each and every one of his ministers, with those wise men, and evaluate the situation thoroughly inside out, only to understand if he has the chance of winning. Only if he has the chance of winning, he'll wage a war. Otherwise, he will get into the path of peace. Right? So in the multitude of counsel, there is safety. It is always good to have a different perspective. No harm. I really love this ad of Maruti Suzuki, right? Puchne mein kya hai? Right? There was some ad that they were running, right? Just ask what's wrong in asking, right? Now, while you do that, avoid that fear of being judged. Avoid the fear that, oh, will I be judged as not so knowledgeable? Will I be judged as incompetent? Will I be judged as incapable? That's okay. That's up to their judgment. Doesn't really matter. But as for you, as long as you're getting the solution, things shouldn't really matter. Am I right? You are getting my point, right? Let's move on. And the other way, when you are sought for help, ensure that you provide that help, and get this particular thing very clearly. When you reach out to somebody for help, everybody will be happy to help, right? And when you approach somebody, be childlike. Do not have any shy, do not have any ego, do not have any kind of inhibitions, right? Be childlike. You do not know certain things, you want to learn, you are stuck at some place, you need a solution. Be childlike, be plain hearted, and just tell them that, hey, I'm stuck here and I need help, right? It works out, right? We spoke about discover, see and be seen. We spoke about reach out. If you are reaching out, or if somebody reaches out to you, you know what needs to be done. And third one is excel and engage. Here, I'm not talking about the Microsoft Excel, but I'm talking about excelling in whatever you do. Again, I'm telling you, be the best at whatever you do. Like in the 10x growth module, we discussed the same thing, right? Find out your ikigai. Understand who are you at the core. What is it that you love to do? And be the best at that. Okay. The biggest enemy of excellence is not really poor performance. The biggest enemy of excellence is mediocrity. Yes, chalta hai. That's all right. It's okay. Fine. No problem, right? These kind of statements which really do not qualify the higher calling and the higher demand, which set the benchmark for excellence, These are the kind of mediocre statements which are the biggest enemies for you to achieve excellence, right? Stop using such words, stop giving such excuses, aim for nothing less than the best, right? And whenever you are in pursuing something, right, either in your career or in your business or in your studies, give all that you have and leave no stone unturned. Right, you are doing something, so why not do to the best of your abilities? What do you want to do with half-hearted? Especially when you identify your ikigai, when you are able to identify your ikigai, that is when you will be able to really excel and do whatever you want to do. If your strength is somewhere else, but you are trying to do something else, definitely it is tough to get that combination, I mean, running together for a longer time, right? You're able to understand, right, what I'm trying to say. Again, suppose if you are good at something and you realize that you do not have enough skill set, to deliver it, acquire them. Keep yourself educated, equipped and updated all the time. Now, when you keep yourself educated and equipped all the time, it will also help you overcome your fears, and it also gives you confidence, right? You're able to understand, right? And always remember, excellence attracts excellence. And there is also a saying, right? You are the average of the 5 people that you are with. If the rest of the 4 people are the people who are aiming for excellence, who are excellent in their own realms, you will by default become excellent. But if the rest of the 4 people are mediocre, it will be tough. So watch out who you are, and watch out who are in your core inner circle. Watch out who are in your networking, who are in your network, right? So again, when you engage and add value, give your best. When somebody seeks your value, do not leave anything to you. Do not do not hold anything to you, but then give your best. Again, excellence and engage. Excellence attracts excellence. Let's move on. We're almost to the close. 2 more things. 4th one is being accessible and being ambitious, right? Ensure you are not excavated, right? You know, the excavations that we do, we try to find certain things, certain treasures, certain pearls, or certain evidences, right? You need to excavate. Ensure you are not excavated. Yeah, your contacts, your credentials, right? Should be. I'm not saying that you will have to go bombard everywhere, but then if people want to know that, hey, I need to get in touch with so and so expert in this field, you should be discoverable. There are still friends, companies, organizations, and even government bodies that reach out to me, especially taking my insights and inputs in the electric mobility revolution in India. And I will be very happy to do that. And I'm easily reachable on LinkedIn, on Facebook. I'm reachable, right? Ensure you're not excavated. Your contacts are to be available, and your response is also to be quick. I mean, this is a very, very bad habit that I've seen people, right? Whenever you send some LinkedIn message to somebody, they take ages to respond. No, that doesn't give a right signal. Then why are you after all there on LinkedIn? If you are so busy to be on LinkedIn, then don't be there on LinkedIn. If LinkedIn is supposed to be a networking platform, and if you are there, then you are supposed to network, right? Even if such requests come to me, right? Even I used to do earlier, right? Whenever I used to get job requests, right? Sir, I'm looking for a job. Do you have an opportunity? But initially I used to ignore, but then I realized that no, that is wrong. Then I used to respond. Now I respond, right? Very immediately, very clearly, without any delay, without keeping them assuming anything, right? No connection, no request messages to be ignored. An action needs to be done. You either reject that connection or you accept that connection. You cannot ignore, right? Again, ambition is a key tool to success. I'll tell you why. As I said, right, you are the average of 5 people you spend time with. So be cautious of your network, friends, and surroundings, because if your 4 other people are ambitious, then you will also be ambitious. If they are not, then you are also not. All right, so be very choosy about whom you want to whom you want to network with, whom you want to associate with. Being ambitious is very, very, very important, and that's one of the key traits towards success and towards 10x growth. 10x growth is all about that, yes, having a high ambition and building a roadmap to reach that ambition. Last but not the least, we have come. 5th one is Let your relations be maintained but not manipulated, right? I think this is an error most people do. People try to, right, this is a very again common phrase, right? People these days use people, right, not use things, right? People use people and love things, right? That is what the phrase is. But we are supposed to love people and use things. Things are meant to be used, people are meant to be loved and networked, right? So relationships are to be nurtured. You need to invest time and efforts into your relations. It cannot happen ki once in a while, once in 3-4 months time you remember something and then you need certain things and then you get in touch with them. Doesn't really work out. Only when you nurture relations, then you will not have an inhibition to reach out for help, or they will not have an inhibition to reach out to help. And relationships, let me tell you, whether it is personal or professional, are demanding, and they demand your time and efforts. Nothing can stay, nothing can be taken for granted. Especially people can never be taken for granted, right? And ensure your relations don't appear transactional. This is a common mistake that we do. Whenever we are in need, we reach out, and whenever that is gone, we kind of become silent. I think that is really, really bad. That is really, really wrong. Ensure that your relations don't appear transactional. And after all, you want the connect to happen automatically, right? I mean, you don't really like when someone connects with you only when they need something. Why do you want to connect with somebody only when you need something, right? Maintain that, nurture that relation, right? And during that relation, right, again, manipulation is a big no. Don't pretend to be somebody who you are not, right? Authenticity and being genuine takes us long in a relationship, right? Stop looking at people as products but as relations. This is very, very important. What do I get when I friendship with him? What do I get when I stay close with him? What is my benefit? What is my benefit? Stop doing all these things. Look at people as relations. Focus on building the relation. The rest will follow. Yeah. Okay. I'm sure we have come towards the end of the session. Again, right? Not many of these things, not many of whatever I've spoken be new to you, right? Most of the things are known to you already, right? But what I've simply done is I've kind of disturbed you once again and I said that, hey, watch out if you're going in the right direction. Watch out if you have the right tools and techniques in your pursuit towards 10x growth, right? Look out for right opportunities, right? And definitely networking is a biggest lever to be leveraged towards 10x growth, right? I hope you enjoyed this short session that you have, and all the very best to you, all the very best in achieving this 10x growth in your lives. If you haven't gone through the 10x module, I would recommend you to search for it and enroll for it and finish that 10x growth, right? Once again, all the very best, and God bless you. Bye-bye.